Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Be Weird broadcast. We are live and alive. Holy cow. And there is news to cover. Things happened. I hope you had a lovely sleep. It is yet another blizzard outside my window. Thanks, Canada. Always bringing frigid, icy Arctic temperatures. Can't go outside because it's painful and to my face. The wind just hurts my face. But these are all pretty first world complaints considering the topic of today. And it's going to be an interesting day because I got a show lined up for tonight. We're talking about the Freedom Convoy that is more or less wrapping up as investigations get started and leaders are denied bail, and also, of course, the war in Ukraine. And we're going to have some lovely, fine people on to come discuss it. And the thing I'm really reflecting on, the thing I really want to achieve tonight is conversation that doesn't devolve, that doesn't just fall apart into like bickering and nonsense. I notice so much of the debate scene is just overwhelmed by people talking over one another and moderators who are there to kind of like police discussion and make sure that I want to try to circumvent that and try to just like really create a space that's focused on ideas, where people should be all right with being wrong. It's not like a competition. It's a conversation amongst everyone. And yeah, and I'm trying to pick people I think that could like do that. I don't know if everyone is capable of quieting themselves when another person talks. I think some people might not even be able to learn that skill. It's like a specific skill set I've been practicing more and more and more. And so I was thinking it would be a great idea to try to really emphasize that. Hot topics, cool heads, you know, like we're gonna talk about things that everybody's talking about that's like interesting to the public, that people are engaged by. But we're gonna keep it chill. We're gonna keep our wits about us. So yeah, I think I think that's what's gonna happen tonight. We've got the Paradigm Shift, who's blowing up. Good on him. We've got Radiant, a lovely streamer I met on the Hippy Dippy recruitment pool. Half white, full black, who's a friend of mine in the city in Montreal. I know him through the poetry circuit. We both do like slam poetry and the like. And Half Baked Takes, who's just like, he's like the only American that like was pretty sensible, was like very sensible and like could discuss, you know. So I'm hoping it's a nice variation. I feel it's a bit left leaning. I think Half Baked Takes is going to be the only right leaning person there. So I do need to get better connections in with like folk in the right wing scene who aren't lost in the sauce. And yeah, and hopefully we can keep this going. Rich food for poor folk is taking a bit of a backseat. Just too many, I'm spinning too many plates. I need to kind of take a break from the cooking show. And I'm really enjoying like politics and discussion and news. So yeah, that's kind of where we're headed. Speaking of news, I'm just gonna tweet out that I'm live and alive. And how you doing? Where are you coming from? Am I talking to Canadians? Huh? Any Europeans? I love having Europeans in the chat just because they check me on so much knowledge that I could never possibly know. All right. So yeah, I'm excited for tonight. I think it's gonna be interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting change of pace, and I'm hoping that it's, I don't know, that it cuts against the current. That's the goal, right? Like there is this pretty common, like, I don't know, malaise almost, like a condition in this space where people are just like aggro, just very upset with each other all the time. And yeah, I don't know, man. Doesn't make for good discussions. Not a lot of learning from one another. So yeah, I guess the audience, will have to be the check on that, whether I'm actually accomplishing what I think I'm accomplishing, you know. But let's get into the news. I got some water here. Hydration check. All right. So, first thing I got lined up right here. Oh, and I gotta shut off this mic. Okay, I think that's better. Oh yeah, that's better. Okay, cool. Zelenskyy, this dude guy, this bro, Zelenskyy, the enemy does not have a single chance in this people's war. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, assured that Ukrainians would fight for as long as it was necessary to liberate their country from the Russian invaders. I wasn't able to pull this video before. It just says URL signature expired. I'll look around for it. Quote, the readiness of Ukraine to defend its statehood, our solidarity with each other, and courage broke the plan to occupy our country. The world has seen it. Ukrainians are strong. Ukrainians are brave. Ukrainians are on their soil, and they will never surrender. We are putting up a decent fight. We will fight for as long as it takes to liberate our country. If children are being born in shelters, even as the shelling continues, the enemy has no chance in this undeniably people's war. Details, Zelenskyy noted that the civilized countries of the world supported Ukraine in its resistance. In particular, Azerbaijan will now help Ukraine with oil and food. All right. This was a really interesting clip that I caught.
Откуда родом? Родом откуда? Майор, откуда родом, блядь?
I think the title said it's like a captain or something. It's like a suspected of being a major, maybe.
Дай мне погончик один на память.
Like giving him cigarettes.
Не, погоны на кителе оставьте. А как ты без документов?
Нету документов. Нет. Семья есть? Семья есть, конечно. Есть, есть.
Здорово.
Okay. I have some old news lined up, but here's some fresh stuff. Russians have found out about the sanctions and the SWIFT ban. A bank run seems to have begun. Yikes.
Вот он, банкомат, который еще хоть как-то деньги выдает.
Oh boy. Oh,
Это все очередь.
God.
Очередь в 2 ряда уже, правда.
That is not good.
Да уж. А может и в 3 ряда уже. Да ладно, не снять мне походу сегодня тут ничего.
That was a pretty long line. Oh, it keeps going?
Я
Oh,
сначала
no.
думал, это в туалет очередь, но оказалось все куда
Oh
проще.
no, oh no, oh no. C'est pas bon, ça. Stage 1. A bank run, or run on the bank, occurs when many clients withdraw their money from a bank because they believe the bank may cease to function in the near future. Just blow this up. Stage 2. Oh, as a bank run progresses, it generates its own momentum. As more people withdraw cash, the likelihood of default increases, triggering further withdrawals. This can destabilize the bank to the point where it runs out of cash and thus faces sudden bankruptcy. Stage 2. A banking panic or bank panic is a financial crisis that occurs when many banks suffer runs at the same time, as people suddenly try to convert their threatened deposits into cash or try to get out of their domestic banking system altogether. Stage 3. A systemic banking crisis is one where all or almost all of the banking capital in a country is wiped out. The resulting chain of bankruptcies can cause a long economic recession as domestic businesses and consumers are starved of capital as the domestic banking system shuts down. Oh boy. Stage 1 of economic collapse, everybody. Isn't that exciting? And this is in Russia. So they're freaking. Yeah, not good. Not good. All right, moving on. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen like what that looks like. How's it going, Eloino? How's your morning? So this was interesting. Let's help them get straight to hell. Ukraine tears down road signs so Russians get lost. Classic. Classic, classic. In a Facebook post, there it is. Here's the Facebook post. It wrote, urgent. We must dismantle road signs on all roads across the country. Priority number 1, signs with names of settlements. We will pass the collected signs to local authorities and road workers. The enemy has a pathetic connection or direction. They do not focus on the terrain. Let's help them get straight to hell. Ukravdotor calls on all, or maybe, yeah, I don't know how to say that. Ukravtodor calls on all road organizations, territorial communities, local governments to immediately begin dismantling nearby road signs. Earlier, it had asked people to take action if they saw enemy vehicles and to use all means necessary to block them. If you see or know that enemy vehicles will move on your roads, block the enemy by all available methods. Putin has ordered nuclear deterrent. Oh, fuck right off. Actually? Oh, God. I'm just trying to get through the news from yesterday. All right. We'll catch up on that pretty soon. I see that already a couple things has happened in even just the past few hours. Oh, the Molotov cocktails. Look at all of these. Look at this operation. You hold the city for even a single day, and it gives you the opportunity to resupply. Every day they hold, like, it might actually have significant impacts. Another captive Russian soldier being interrogated. Military rank, name, family name, unit. Private Kravchenko, military unit 910701. Year of birth, 2002. Oh, he's a baby. Oh my God, he's 20 years old. Occupation, driver mechanic.
Mama, papa есть?
You have mama and dad? Yes. Still don't remember their number? No, I don't remember. Where do they live? Oblast Irkutsk. Go ahead. Address? Says his address. Yeah, so young, loud tyrant youth. Now try to remember the number. Oh boy, getting the captives to call their parents, let them know they're safe, because they're going to disappear for a while, right? Russia's Kremlin and other governmental agencies' websites are down. TV is playing Ukrainian music. Well, Anonymous announced on Twitter that it is constantly working to keep Russia's government's websites offline so they can get rid of the state censorship machine. This was an interesting story. SpaceX Starlink internet now live in Ukraine, says Elon Musk. There was like an appeal from Zelenskyy for Musk to get involved. And then like literally within 12 hours or 12 to 24 hours, holy crap. With Ukraine under attack, oh wait, here it might be. Elon Musk, while you try to colonize Mars, Russia try to occupy Ukraine. While your rockets successfully land from space, Russian rockets attack Ukrainian civil people. We ask you to provide Ukraine with Starlink stations and to address sane Russians to stand. Elon Musk. Starlink service is now active in Ukraine. More terminals en route. Wow. Musk did a good thing? Stop. A Starlink satellite dish on the ground in Ukraine will allow for access to Starlink internet. The internet normally requires a one-time $500 American dollar fee for a Starlink dish and router, plus $100 per month for service. Download speeds are up to 300 megabytes per second and latency at 20 milliseconds depending on location. Damn. Okay. Fedorov responded by saying, Starlink terminals are coming to Ukraine. Thank you, Elon Musk. Thank you, everyone who supported Ukraine. Yeah, holy cow, what a story. Official Ukraine accounts retweets. Thanks, appreciate it. Cool. Technology. Just like bring in an internet. One internet, please. Our people need an internet. Can you move your satellites? Anti-war sentiment grows in Russia despite the government crackdown. ABC News. As Russian troops were closing in on the Ukrainian capital, more and more Russians at home were speaking out against the invasion, even as the government's official rhetoric grew increasingly harsher. As Russian troops were closing in on the Ukrainian capital, more and more Russians spoke out Saturday against the invasion, even as, we just read that. Street protests, albeit small, resumed in the Russian capital of Moscow, the second largest city of St. Petersburg, and other cities for this third straight day. So, holy cow, it's still going. Oh, that was just me reading up on how Doug Ford's a piece of shit. Standard & Poor cuts Russia's rating to junk. Moody's issues junk warning. Massive news. Oh my god. Oh fuck. So these are like rating agencies. So Russia's going to have a really hard time getting new capital. They won't be able to get new loans. It'll be very difficult to get loans now. YouTube blocks RT, other Russian channels from earning ad dollars. It's not too big of a surprise. Zelenskyy asks UN to strip Russia of its Security Council vote. Interesting. I don't think that's going to happen. It's one of the 5 permanent members with China, France, UK, and US. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. Me and my sister, after 3 days ride, hoping to cross to Poland tomorrow. Yo, those are young folk. You got no place being in a war-torn area. Holy shit. Kyiv, full consensus for disconnecting Russia from SWIFT has been achieved. The process has begun. Russia would be disconnected from the international payments system SWIFT. The official decision has not yet been formalized, but technical preparations for the adoption and implementation of the step have already begun, said the Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba on Facebook. Quote, we nod and nod and nod at it. All Ukrainian diplomacy worked, from the president of Ukraine to the attaché in the Ukrainian embassy. Ukrainian diplomats dedicate this victory to all defenders of Ukraine, he wrote. Sources close to negotiation process on the policy of sanctions told the Ukrainian news outlet lb.ua that after the consent of Hungary and Cyprus, only the position of Germany was preventing the disconnection of Russia from SWIFT. Such steps requires the consent of all EU member states. The Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty's editor, Ricard Joswiak, has reported that Germany has also given its consent. Crazy. Only one country was removed from SWIFT in its history. In 2012, Iran was blocked from SWIFT as part of a series of measures aimed at curbing the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. Interesting. Wow, they did it. They did it. Diplomacy worked. Can you believe it? Twitter stops registration of new accounts from Russian territory. Germany approves rocket launcher deliveries to Ukraine. This is some of the biggest news I think happened in the last 12 hours. 7:13 p.m. That was 14 hours ago. Germany approves the deliveries of 400 anti-tank rocket launchers to Ukraine, a government source says, in a U-turn from its long-standing policy of banning weapon exports to conflict zones. Given the Russian attack on Ukraine, the government is prepared to release urgently needed material for the defense of Ukraine, the source says in a statement. So Germany's actually getting its fingers in the pie. This is quickly becoming a European war. Another big story that broke overnight. Greece says 6 expats were killed in Ukraine, summons the Russian ambassador. So I guess they're just going so wide, so hard, that it's just like people are getting caught up in it. This picture, my God, Julia, a teacher and Ukrainian volunteer, weeps as she waits to be deployed to fight Russian troops around Kyiv on Saturday. Yeah, what a photo. Look at her face. Sheesh. So yeah, this is more confirmation. U.S. and allies to block some Russian, and now it's only some Russian banks. I think that's why I saved this one, because it's like a bit of a walk back. It's not all Russian banks, it's just some of them. Let me just see here. Okay, these are the breaking news stories. Breaking, Ukraine confirms peace talks with Russia today, 3:36 p.m. But also at 8:09 from the Associated Press, Vladimir Putin has ordered Russian nuclear deterrent forces on alert amid tensions with the West over Ukraine. Yikes. Yikes. Sheesh. Oh, God, no. Okay, let's see what the Guardian has served up for us. So yeah, biggest news is that they're getting cut out of SWIFT. There's a bunch of strikes last night, I heard. Live blog is closing. Okay, summary. This was 10 hours ago. As dawn breaks in Kyiv and multiple towns and cities across Ukraine wake to find scenes of destruction, here is where the situation currently stands. Western allies have agreed to block Russia's access to the SWIFT international banking payment system. The US, Canada, and key European countries, including Germany, have agreed to remove selected Russian banks, not all of them, but just a few, from the SWIFT payment system, the countries announced on Saturday. There are reports that a gas pipeline is on fire in Kharkiv after a Russian attack, while an oil terminal in Vasilkiv, southwest of the capital Kyiv, has also been targeted. The government has warned that smoke from the explosion in Kharkiv could cause an environmental catastrophe and advised people to cover their windows. Whoa. The 13 Ukrainian soldiers who were reportedly killed while defending an island in the Black Sea from an air and sea bombardment, reportedly telling a Russian Navy warship to, quote, go fuck yourself, end quote, when asked to surrender, may still be alive. They may be alive, everybody. The Snake Island defenders. But in a recent statement, we have a strong belief that all Ukrainian defenders of Snake Island may be alive. All of them. So we all succumb to Ukrainian propaganda. I'm joking. Britain is preparing a hit list of Russian oligarchs to be targeted by sanctions in the coming months, the Foreign Secretary said. Liz Truss. Truss said there would be, quote, nowhere left to hide, end quote, for the super rich allies of Vladimir Putin's Kremlin. She told the Sunday Times that new names would be added to the list every few weeks as ministers seek to ratchet up the pressure on Putin. Liquor stores and bars in the US and Canada are targeting Russia's national drink in a show of unity with the people of Ukraine. Shelves in both countries are being stripped of Russian vodka, with the Republican governor of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu, announcing on Saturday the removal of, quote, Russian-made and Russian-branded spirits from our liquor and wine outlets until further notice. And I had heard some stories of like, what was it? Smirnoff was getting caught up in this, even though it's like British owned or something. Just like then it was, I guess it was sold off a while ago, or maybe never even. I don't know the history of it, but Japanese billionaire Hiroshi Mikitani. Wow, what an amazing name. Hiroshi Mikitani, amazing, has said he will donate $8.7 million to the government of Ukraine. He's calling Russia's invasion, quote, a challenge to democracy, end quote. The founder of e-commerce giant Rakuten. Wait, what? The hell is Rakuten? Huh. Up to 30% cash back. Earn cash back. Interesting. Invades. You've heard of this? Interesting. Interesting. That's a good idea. Yeah, it's a smart. I know that Honey has done pretty well with their model of like scraping your data in exchange for deals, coupons. The founder of e-commerce giant Rakuten sent in a letter addressed to Zelenskyy that the donation of 1 billion yen, interesting, nice, he's donating 1 billion yen, will go toward, quote, humanitarian activities to help people in Ukraine who are victims of violence. Agence France Presse reported. A Ukrainian company in charge of building and maintaining roads said it was removing all road signs. We covered that. Australia has said it will fund the supply of weapons to Ukraine. Wow. Scott Morrison, quote, the Australian government will continue to stand up for what is right when it comes to Ukraine. We'll be seeking to provide whatever support we can for lethal aid through our NATO partners, particularly the US and the United Kingdom. It's such a tight narrow line they're going. Honey gives you deals. However, these give you something back as far as I know. Yeah, it said like hook up your PayPal. So that's like money in your pocket. Europe has to maintain the ability to buy gas and oil because through SWIFT from Russia through certain banks. Yeah, that was my understanding, Simon. If the supplies are cut, it will have to be by Putin from what I can gather. That's my read as well, that it's just untenable. It's just untenable to cut oil and gas purchases. It's just not going to happen. Okay, give me half a second. Okay, there's some stuff already that I'm just pulling up right now. We'll get rid of all this. Russian state TV channels hacked by Anonymous to broadcast what's actually happening in Ukraine. It's like, oh yeah. Can't really hear it. Whoa. Wow. Oh, wow. Look at that. Good job, Anonymous. Anonymous is doing something, everybody. Yo, way to go. Am I understanding that right?
Смелость отныне. Вы так нужны. Нужны. И при всех этих мыслях, погибая изнутри, не отвечу нет войне. И при всех этих мыслях, погибая изнутри.
Crazy. There's like, I guess, a few channels showing the same content.
Вы так это видите, русская власть. Молчите. Пока кричат наши дети от взрывов, поймите хотя бы слова. Люди не пишут негатив в комментариях. И столица, но в 21 веке нет врага, с которым... И столица, но в 21 веке...
We got some war footage coming up. I'm just making sure that there's no like bodily harm that you can see. You know what I mean? Okay. Yeah, gird your loins, everybody. Okay, Ukrainian soldiers forced the Russian occupiers in Kharkiv to abandon their vehicles and run.
Слава Україні!
There you go. At least 1,728 people were arrested in Russia in multiple protests in 53 cities as they protest against Russia's war in Ukraine.
Я пожилой человек, инвалид второй группы.
Ну, спокойно, пройдите. Спокойно.
Я не пойду. С какой стати? Что я совершила не так?
Позорище. Вот зачем вы это делаете, а? Ничего мирно говори.
Нет войне! Нет войне! Нет войне!
Shahish. Okay. So this is some intense footage. So if you're uncomfortable with war footage, now's the time to take a 1-minute break.
Відходимо, відходимо. Валу, далі. Фрайкор сила. Прямо в рот попалось.
Oh my god, what a scene. Shell drops on Kharkiv. Go fuck yourself. I haven't cooked the soup yet.
Идите нахуй, я суп еще не сварил!
Sky News broadcasting a Molotov cocktail making session and explaining the finer points of making them stick to vehicles.
Perhaps you were thinking originally. There are hundreds and hundreds of people here in Dnipro who have come to the center of town, and they are in the process here in this section of making Molotov cocktails. You see them they're taking styrofoam. They've sort of grated the styrofoam, and they're now putting it into the bottles. The styrofoam works to make the Molotov cocktail sticky, to help it stick
Oh my God.
to vehicles, to other targets as well. You can see them grating it. And they're making it according to a recipe that has been distributed by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. Really quite extraordinary.
Really, really, truly quite extraordinary. Yes. Yes, indeed. Indubitably. War sucks, let's party. God of destruction? I mean, kind of a... You'd think the God of destruction would be A-okay with war, but all right. I'm very glad you're doing that stream later. I think my plans today got ruined. I'm kind of bummed. Oh, I'm sorry, Loud Tyrant Youth. That happens sometimes. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be cozy. I'm gonna want to make it as cozy as possible. There's like so many like aggro debate scenes. I want to create a cozy conversation space. Someone had this interesting take on Twitter about how, because of the way the algorithms work on Twitter and everything, like outrage is the way to get popular and to fame. And so like online debate is doomed from the start. And I just kind of take that as a personal challenge. It's like, oh yeah, I want to see if I can make a wholesome space with people talking about issues that a lot of people are tuned into. You know what I mean? Rather than picking like something abrasive and then throwing two people who really disagree into a room together. 20,000 people protesting in Bern, Switzerland's capital, because the government has not imposed sanctions on Russia. Now here's a freedom protest. Oh, look at all them people. Look at all them folk. Dozens of Ukrainian civilians have blocked the path of Russian tanks in Chernihiv Oblast. Yeah, thanks, Low Tyrant Youth. It's one of my secret powers. There is like this idea that I really like, where like if you're ever in a conversation and you feel you're both getting heated, you can think of it like as a game. Who can stay calmest the longest? And it's like a nice thing to think about. It's like even if you fail, all you have to do is beat your personal best, which is like I stayed calm and collected for longer than I normally do before losing my shit. You know what I mean? And over the years, I usually outlast most people, but I usually am not the one losing my head. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping to use that for good. Okay, these are Ukrainians blocking tanks. Just unarmed.
От Карюковка. Скоріше, що будуть возвращатися назад.
Crazy.
Встановили танки. З Карюковки. От Карюковка. Скоріше, що будуть возвращатися назад.
Okay, so you remember that teacher or that person who wanted to be a teacher? Sorry, that young woman who was crying. Here's the actual video.
Ну що ж,
I just want to leave in our country. That's all. Well, you're fighting for it. Very brave.
What do you want to say, Putin?
I hate him. My sweet
Just crazy, really, really crazy. Unreal.
So I think like the mood in this van, it's like one thing to be like, yeah, I'm ready to go sign up as a reservist. I won't get deployed, you know, yada, yada, yada. You start like all these rationalizations where you're like trying to make yourself comfortable with enlisting, trying to imagine what it's going to be like, trying to sort of envision what you're about to go through. And then you're like in the van, or you're like in the deployment zone. You've got your gun. It's ready to go. People are already fighting. You know that you're going to have to plug some hole. And and then it all hits at once. Like, oh shit, I actually did have plans and dreams. Like, life is bittersweet and short. And it like all comes to like a single moment. That's rough, man. Yeah. Can you imagine this lady does not look like she looks more ready. She's like super calm, but like, dang, that girl looks ready. She looks like she's about to pop some off and take care of herself, but she's freaking. No big surprise there. So yeah, that was pretty evocative. This is just a guy carrying a mine. Just carrying a mine. That's a mine, everybody. He's smoking. Doesn't want to stop smoking right now. He's not like spitting out a cigarette. No, he lit the cigarette before he picked up the mine because it's a full cigarette. I'm not even watching. Are you for real? What are you doing, my guy? Are you for real? Amazing. I just cannot believe he's smoking a cigarette. It's like, this is gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while to carry this active landmine. So I better light a cigarette, or else I might no hat. Coat's open. Bare hands. Jesus.
Охренеть.
What are his shoes? Doesn't have like high ankles or anything. What a baller. Holy cow. Okay, so there was footage of the ex-prime minister, Yukashenko, I think. I can't remember his last name. Yuvashenko? Poroshenko. But apparently someone dropped their clip in the background.
In Ukrainian about how brave and heroic is Ukrainian to protect our soil, to protect our future, to protect our freedom and our democracy. We are in the center of Kiev. We are here
Don't react. Don't react.
to protect Ukraine.
Don't react.
And the Russian position is about a little bit more than 2 kilometers from here. This is very difficult.
Holy fuck, that's funny.
In Ukrainian about how brave and heroic is Ukrainian to protect our soil, to protect our future, to protect our freedom and our democracy. We are in the center of Kiev. We are here to protect Ukraine.
Well, especially since his colleague has to come.
Is
no reaction, turns out, and then his colleague has to
more than 2 kilometers.
Oh, you dropped this.
From here. This is...
He's like, oh. Yeah, we call this media training, ZZZ. He needs some media training. Could this have been avoided diplomatically by saying Ukraine won't be in NATO? I mean, that's kind of how we got to where we are. Russia, one of the reasons that Russia sent in the little green men to take over Crimea is because I think you're not allowed to join NATO if you are currently engaged in armed conflict. So like there is, let's say, like just a clause that Putin noticed, and he's like, oh, okay, that just makes it easier for me. I'll just invade them, and that sort of disqualifies them, their submission process or whatever to join NATO. I think that was sort of the how it played out, and so before Zelenskyy, there was, of course, like a pro-Russian regime before, like 2 presidents before. And that was how they were preventing, when Ukraine went through its revolution at the Maidan, it was to oust the pro-Russian prime minister or president or whatever, who the head of state, in order to like have elections so that they could have someone pro NATO. They get someone who's pro NATO, and then the little green men come in to destabilize the country and prevent them from like continuing that process. And then you get Zelenskyy, who's like, okay in the polls, but like doing an anti-corruption, sort of cleaning out the judiciary, and that's part of why he's popular. And then this war happens, and he's becoming a wartime president. And he's trying to use that to leverage European nations to sort of reconsider Ukraine as part of NATO.
Very difficult.
He's got some goofs. It just makes it so human, right? It's just so incredibly human. Like as much as Zelenskyy is like big man tough and is like rising to the moment, like he's still flesh and blood. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's see here. I think submitted 7 hours ago. I really want to watch this, but I also really have to pee. So I want to set you guys up with something before I go, just so that it's not like, whatever. Oh, that is off. Okay, I think this is watchable. No, it's not. This is kind of watchable. Here we go. Ukrainians feed scared Russian captives. Quote, Mom, Dad, I didn't want to go to Ukraine. They said that we were going to bilateral exercises with the 25th Brigade. Ukrainian media published videos of captured Russian tankers near Kharkov. Okay, I'm going to play this and I'll be right back.
Роман Александрович, мама, папа, не хотел я ехать на Украину. Сказали, что едем на двустороннее учение с 25-й бригадой, а потом в конце ночью, 23 февраля, сказали, что мы едем на Украину пересекать границу.
Ты сейчас где?
Не хотел я этого.
Ты сейчас где?
Город Харьков.
В плену.
Так точно, в плену. Не хотел я этого, не хотел сюда ехать.
Ну что, тут нашел фашистов?
Никак нет.
Фашисты есть?
Нет, нет. Все мирные люди, все жители хорошие.
Ты кто?
Воробьев Вадим Валерьевич.
У тебя родные?
Ну что, мам, поехали мы, значит, на учение. Приехали в Харьков, на Украину. А, как оказалось, до нас тут было мирно, спокойно.
О чем ты хочешь попросить родных?
Чтобы...
Что?
Хочешь домой или нет? Так точно, домой хочу, очень сильно домой хочу.
Что нужно сделать для этого?
Пусть попросят главнокомандующего Путина, чтобы забрали меня отсюда.
Ты что хочешь сказать?
Тоже хочу домой. Тоже хочу, чтобы меня забрали.
Okay, let's listen to the speech.
Свою державу, наша солідарність один з одним і
Ukraine's readiness to defend its state, our solidarity with each other, and courage have broken this scenario of our country's occupation. Oh wait, there's some comments here. USA almost went to nuclear war over Cuba. I believe Russia would do the same over Ukraine. Simon thinks it's a false equivalent. There are no nuclear weapons in Ukraine. True, but Russia might try to escalate, you know, just to scare off NATO. And that would be similar to the Cuba missile crisis.
Зламали сценарій окупації нашої.
Like let's say Russia wins in a month. Let's say this war doesn't take a week, but takes 9 months, and they eventually take over the city. Well, what's to stop them putting nuclear weapons there just to sort of flex? Just bring it ever so much closer, you know what I mean? Okay, let's focus. Ukraine's readiness to defend its state, our solidarity with each other, and courage have broken the scenario of our country's occupation.
країни. Світ побачив,
The world has
українці
seen
сильні,
Ukrainians are
українці
strong,
могутні,
Ukrainians are
українці
powerful,
сміливі, українці на своїй
Ukrainians
рідній
are
землі
brave,
і нікому,
Ukrainians are on their native
ніколи
land, and they
її
will never
не
give it to anyone.
віддадуть,
They will never betray
ніколи
it.
не зрадять. Тож, не дивно,
So,
що саме
it is not
у
surprising
таких
that such
великих
great
людей
people
друзі
have more powerful friends than
потужніші, ніж
enemies.
вороги. Протягом
During
дня,
the day, I
щогодини я
spoke
говорив
every hour
з
with the
лідерами
leaders of the
держав,
states,
друзів
friends of
України.
Ukraine.
Надзвичайний результат є у
There is an
відносинах з
extraordinary
Італією.
result
Це справді
in
нова
relations
глава
with
для
Italy.
наших
This is
держав.
truly a new chapter
Розмова
for
з
our
Маріо
states.
Драгі,
The
прем'єр-міністром
conversation with Mario Draghi, the Prime Minister of the Italian Republic, put everything in its place.
Італійської республіки поставила все на свої місця. Індія – традиційна світова
India is a
сила.
traditional world
Обговорив з
power.
прем'єр-міністром
I discussed with
Моді
Prime Minister
перебіг
Modi the
нашої
course of our
відсічі
repulse of the aggressor.
агресора. Отримав повну
We
підтримку.
received full
Подякував
support.
моєму і нашому
I thank my
другу
friend and our
Ердогану
friend
за незмінну підтримку
Erdogan
нашої
for their continued
незалежності,
support
нашої
for independence
територіальної
and our
цілісності.
territorial
Погодили з ним, що сьогодні вкрай важливо
We agreed with him
є
today
заборона
that it is
та
extremely
прохід
important to
російських
ban the
військових
passage of
кораблів
Russian
у
warships
Чорне
to
море.
enter the Black Sea. Ooh, we did it. Wow. You got Turkey to block Russia? Oh my goodness.
Добрий друг
A good friend of
України,
Ukraine,
Ілхам
Ilham
президент Азербайджану.
Heydarovich Aliyev, the president of Azerbaijan, with whom I spoke that our country lacks oil products. Everything is not easy, but now everything will be. Wow. By the way, Ilham Aliyev and President Erdogan offered to hold negotiations with Russia, like in a neutral city, I think. This can only be congratulated. I was at the White House protest yesterday. Ukrainian Americans calling for no-fly zone and support. Yeah, Bosnians were there as well due to fear of Russian expansion. Yeah, I think a lot of people, or at least some in political analysis, are saying like this has exposed Russia for its imperialist ambitions.
Тільки привітати.
And then the president of Switzerland, the prime minister of Greece, the prime minister of the Netherlands, Rutte. It seems that Ukraine has gained the sincerity and attention of the entire normal civilized world. And the practical result, here it is, SWIFT. This word means so much to the Russian Federation. Disconnection from global financial civilization. Our diplomats fought around the clock and with inspiration for all European countries to agree on a very strong and fair decision to disconnect Russia from the international interbank network. We also have this important victory. This is billions and billions of financial losses for Russia. This is the price for such a violent invasion of our state. We have always said the truth is with us. This means that even the greatest achievements are made. Today I spoke with the leaders of the churches and religious communities of Ukraine. Metropolitan Epiphanius, the primate of the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, the Metropolitan Onufri, the primate of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Okay, I'm not sure what the difference between those two are, but they are two different people, I guess.
Онуфрій, предстоятель Української православної церкви.
How was the protest, by the way? Is that
Sheikh
Sheikh Tamim, the chief mufti of Ukraine, Jacob Dov-Blaich, he was the chief rabbi, I think, chief rabbi of Kyiv and Ukraine, and His Holiness Pope Francis, head of the Catholic Church. Yeah, he's seriously, like, he's just like, day 3, look at all these diplomatic victories. Like, not only am I roughing it in the trenches, but like my team is getting W's across the board, you know? It's one thing to see your prime minister or your president your president like in the trenches with you. It's another for him to be like giving you reasons to fight, like, oh, you know, rescue is on the way. Yeah, comedian. I mean, that's literally the reason. I mean, that's the tongue-in-cheek. That's why the YouTube video is called Servant of the People. That was the show that he was on. I want to dig into that a little bit more. It looked ridiculous. Trump sent anti-tank vehicles to Ukraine. USA were definitely provoking. Wait, do you have a source? That is interesting news. I don't think that's true. Trump blackmailed Zelenskyy on a phone call that we all got to listen to, where he wanted Zelenskyy to sort of support Rudy Giuliani in his efforts to whip up a fake like conspiracy theory about Hunter Biden and the previous administration, and he was withholding hundreds, I think $400 million in military assistance to Ukraine, specifically and most importantly, like a bunch of Javelin missiles, anti-tank missiles. So I'm a little confused here. You're saying anti-tank vehicles, not missiles like the Javelins, and sent when I'm pretty sure Trump withheld. So I'm not too sure about this sentence right here. Protest was awesome, beautiful singing, lots of people, especially since it was organized the day before on Facebook. Nice. Yeah, protests are great. All absolutely, this is Zelenskyy. All leaders pray for our defenders, for the souls of our heroes who gave their lives for our Ukraine and for our unity and for our victory. Javelins, yeah. Fortune.com. 2017. And this is very important. You know, today was a good sunny day in Kyiv. The day that the occupiers tried to destroy us, like practically everything in the history of our country. But today is also the first day of the life of a girl who was born on Saturday night in the Kyiv metropolitan. Wow, someone gave birth. Now it's a shelter. We give a decent rebuff. I'm sure you see all this in the news, and I want to tell you only one thing. We will fight as much as necessary to liberate our country. Approve the sale of. If children are already born in shelters, even when the shelling continues, the enemy has no chance in this, of course, people's war. Wow. Yeah, I'll look into it in a sec. Slava Ukraine. Wow. Yeah. So apparently the Google translator breaks down crying.
Gesprochen. Russland ist auf dem Weg des Bösen. Russland muss ihre Stimme in UN verlieren. Ukrainer, wir wissen ganz genau, was wir verteidigen.
Слава кожному нашому солдату. Слава Україні.
Entschuldigung, sorry. Wow. So these are the anti-tank weapons. Oh wait, no, we're gonna check out my volume. Sorry, am I quiet? Is that better? My bad. I think I turned it down earlier. Thanks, Lacey. How's your day going? This guy's gonna taunt the Russians with his massive anti-tank weapon. I think there's like a longer clip where President Trump has approved a plan to send. Yep, this was after like massive pressure. I think that's what, yeah, the javelin, very important. But like the scoop, the real story was that he was withholding it. Like this is later. This is after everyone finds out and there's massive pressure and he's basically, his hand is forced in order to sending it. Signed off. Yeah, like what was it? Like Trump withheld $400 million military aid, Ukraine, javelin. Foreignpolicy.com. I mean, Business Insider put it perfectly. Trump, who was impeached for withholding nearly $400 million in military aid from Ukraine, said, quote, "This deadly Ukraine situation would never have happened if he were in office." Like, he was the guy who withheld the thing. So I'm super confused by that article that's like, he approved the sale. And it's like, yeah, his hand was forced. This is politics. Saw 2 lynx on your walk this morning, Lacey? Oh, nice. Nice. I've only ever seen a lynx once in the wild. Something that happened that escalated Russia. I mean, it's literally an anti-tank weapon. I don't know how that's an escalation. It's not, you can't use it except against invading tanks. It's a purely, all the things that have anti in the front of them are all defensive. Anti-air, anti-tank. Except maybe anti-personnel. Yeah, I don't know. That's just, I don't know how sending the javelins, it increased tension, but only because, you know, it's a lock on the door for Russia. Like, from Russia's perspective, you're equipping the people I'm about to invade in a few years. Like, uh-oh. Trump resisted. This is foreignpolicy.com. Yeah, it came only after the reluctant president was convinced it would be good for U.S. business. Like, basically, Northrop Grumman and all the big corporate came in and were like, you got to do this sale. Yeah, but I don't know. I think I saw a meme when it was like, I don't know, like someone's put a bunch of locks on their door and Russia's broken through the door, like, you made me do this kind of thing. Like, you forced me into this. And it's just like, I don't know, like, Ukraine is so very clearly the defender here. I don't really know if I'm missing something, but like, I accept the argument, like, NATO's encroachment escalates with Russia. Like, that makes a lot of sense to me. And Ukraine trying to join it, yeah. Getting anti-tank weapons, yeah, less so, because like they only work against tanks. Like, I don't know, they have a specific purpose. Russians invading come under fire. Yeah, I don't think the Russians have a right to be mad. The only person that's actually mad appears to be Putin. And a bunch of young boys are going to war. A bunch of Russian conscripts going to fight, you know, a fool's war.
Черная, тигр. 2 штуки пока вижу. 3 ползет, солдаты.
Солдаты.
Крадутся.
Soldier.
С автоматами на изготовку.
That's quite a lot of, holy shit, that's a full company. I don't know what any of these words mean.
3, 4 КамАЗ.
Oh boy!
Ебать! С тяжелого стреляют в сторону домов. С гранатомета сейчас ебет. Пиздец, у нас стреляют.
Oh boy! Holy cow! Destroyed column of vehicles. Guess whose?
Дима, хлопці, от що осталось біля мого дому, блядь. Я в долгу не остався і не останусь, блядь. Оце їхні підарасов, блядь, сука, техніка вся. Вот, пожалуйста, блядь. Сука, блядь.
Сука,
Пришли,
блядь.
блядь, сука, до нас, пидоры ебаные, блядь.
Воу.
Чтоб вам, сука, всем в аду горить, блядь. Пидорасы ебаные, блядь. Сука, я своей жизни не пожалею, блядь, на этих пидоров, блядь.
All of it is part of the escalation? Yeah, for
Сука,
sure.
гандоны, это
I mean-
все вот возле моего дома, блядь.
I mean, that happens with any aggressor and defender, though, right? Like, there's going to be a natural arms race between the lion and the gazelle. And the gazelle becoming faster is like it's harder to sell as an escalation compared to the lion's like claws getting longer. You know what I mean? Like the person generally we consider as doing the escalating, making things hot are the aggressive belligerent, the aggressor.
Гандоны ебаные, блядь.
Trying to find like a security blanket, which is NATO, is perfectly reasonable. Russia has no right. Just was wondering if this could have been avoided. It's up to debate how far we should poke the bear. Yeah, it's very much a poke the bear situation. But given the reaction of the world, it really does seem like Russia's lost all moral credibility almost instantly. They vaporized their own credibility. And Boris actually was right in saying that they risk becoming a pariah state.
Я в долгу не остался, блядь, ребята, не остался в долгу. Вот что с них, блядь. Это вся улица вокзальная, блядь. Это кадыровцы ебаные, блядь. Как пришли, блядь, сука, так и на тот свет ушли. Пидорасы ебаные, блядь. Вот что с них, блядь, пооставалось, блядь. Вот что пооставалось, блядь. Вот, блядь. Одни запчасти, пидоры, блядь. Андоны ебаные, блядь. Это все в Буче, молодцы. ВСУ, молодцы. Вот что пооставалось, блядь. Вот это все Буча, в Буче. Это все в Буче, блядь.
It's like pure war zone footage. Putin is the perfect example of why term limits are a good thing.
Правда, есть разрушения, блядь.
I mean, Putin famously had, what was it, Medvedev become the president so that Putin could become the prime minister, which sort of like gave him a loophole so that he could become president again. Something like that. And like while he was prime minister, Medvedev was like a complete puppet. And then recently, I think, well, I can't remember, but like, yeah, Putin has basically been ruling the country for well over a decade, like for so long, like 15 years. It's crazy.
Вот вам, блядь, шапки-ушанки, блядь, пидоры ебаные, блядь. Косопье ебучее, блядь.
Dang.
Кто с мечом к нам пришел, блядь, тот, блядь, и от меча, блядь, погибнет, блядь. Вот так вся улица вокзальная.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been doing some learning now. I knew about him from before because I followed the Trump Russia stories for like a long time. Like Mueller, she wrote, for instance. I was big into the Mueller report that came out. And so I knew about Zelenskyy. I knew that he was like the comedian that had one office, and that was about as far as it went. So I really want to find like an episode of Servant of the People and just like kind of see. I saw a clip of him doing like dancing with the stars in Ukraine. I'll try to find that, and it was like, how did this man become a wartime president? It's amazing.
Самой Бучи, блядь.
Let's see if we can find that clip.
Пидорасы, блядь. Ребята, спасибо вам большое.
Нельзя снимать.
Все, я понял.
I'm trying to find it. Yeah, I think I found it. There it is. So apparently Zelenskyy won the Ukrainian version of Dancing with the Stars in 2006. And the tape is even better than whatever you're imagining. Look at him go! Look at his costume! He's got moves! He can move his hips! Dang. Oh, they got handcuffs on. Just like different like musical styles. I don't think I could do this. So smooth. Oh God, are those Russian? Is he wearing Russian Adidas? Looks like it, right? Oh, he almost headbutt her butt. Yeah, it'd be great to be able to sing to this song, or to dance to this song. Beautiful. And then, of course, like, ends with her on top. Oh, what a great splay. This one, I thought, was like the most impressive. Like, they literally have blindfolds on? Is that a thing? Like, he's doing these really weird motions. And then this right here. Amazing. Is he in a bowler hat? Is that a what? Is he got the Charlie Chaplin mustache and a bow tie? How do you not like this person? He does not take himself seriously. This is not a man who takes himself seriously. Or was a man. I mean, I guess was a man who didn't take himself seriously. Yo, Zelenskyy, let's go! And now he's got the French mustache. Oh, moustache vraiment mince. Okay, that's it. Okay, so there you go. That's Zelenskyy, everybody. He can dance. He can act. He's almost a triple threat. You don't really see that every day. So wait, let's see here. I got a couple news items from Dylan Burns. So that will be interesting to bring up. Just give me a sec. Okay. The Bulgarian Prime Minister was asked today about the possibility of accepting refugees from Ukraine. Hey, Gemini, how's it going? These are not the refugees we have used to. These are people who are European, so we and all other EU countries are ready to welcome them. Oh boy. These are intelligent people, educated people. Some of them are IT specialists, highly qualified. In other words, this is not the refugee wave we have used to, where we do not know what to do. People with obscure past, maybe terrorists. Oh my God. These are Europeans who just got their airport bombed, who were shot at, who were hiding in the metro. So none of the European countries is afraid from the immigrant wave that is about to come. No comment. That's next level racism. Jail. Straight to jail. Where's the racist jail?
Извинявайте.
И правилно се крие, нали, имаме си допълнение на
Oh yeah, you took some questions.
първата ни.
Interesting. Government-controlled Luhansk region in Donbass is one of bloodiest fronts. This is footage of shelling of Starobilsk, the sleepy center of the region's rural north and home to hundreds of IDPs from Russia's 2014 invasion of Donbass. Let's make sure I can show this.
И за что нам это все?
Yeah, we live like such a sheltered life. Oh! Like canisters popping off. I guess they just shelled the fuck out of this town. Oh my god. That's a little nuts. That's just indiscriminate bombing. Like every building's got a hole in it. I don't know, you guys. Seems kind of sussy. Russia's Foreign Minister Lavrov said negotiations can begin once Russia restores democratic order in Ukraine. As Russia troops neared Kyiv, Ukrainian MP Oleksiy Goncharenko was asked to respond. He had a pretty clear answer.
How do you react to that?
Fuck you, Lavrov.
That's a pretty clear answer.
Pretty...
Fuck you, Lavrov.
That's a pretty clear answer.
Okay.
How do you react to that?
All right.
Возвращается с разведки.
Wait. Might not be able to show that one. Just let me watch it again.
From the skies of Europe, as more countries ban Russian planes from their airspace, we'll ask a former pilot how that could impact Russia's aviation industry. And the Czech Republic becomes the latest international football team to refuse to play against Russia.
Yeah, I can't show that clip.
Hello, welcome to your world weather report for the Middle East.
World weather?
Nice to see you. We do have some energy
Stop.
working across northern parts of the Levant.
It's
so
too
that's
exciting.
generating some
It's too exciting. I can't do world weather right now. Ukrainian Bayraktar armed drone reportedly is in action against the Russians. I don't know what to make of this video, to be honest. Oh. I actually do know what to make of this video. Not sure I can show that either.
Дима,
Oh, we watched this just a second ago. I don't think we can watch that one either. Maybe we can watch this one. Oh, jeez. Russian. We don't want to fight. We're shocked that our superiors are telling us to kill Ukrainians.
Я с вилами на ваш БТР бігти не буду. Но если, блядь, вы будете бігти сюди.
Блядь, мы наблюдаем за этой все и будем во дворе. Если будет пиздец, условия наши неприкосновенные. То есть, ну, знаешь, своего рода, блядь, вот плен. Только я же тебе говорю, блядь, ну, не насиловать, не убивать тебя никто не будет, блядь, нахуй не надо. И по ножам во дворе тем более, блядь. Тому я хочу, чтобы все, блядь, все было, блядь, вот, знаешь, как мы жили раньше, вы жили раньше, чтобы, блядь, спокойствие было, блядь.
Пожалуйста.
Слышал?
Если что, без оружия, молодец.
Okay, just pulling up some clips. Now in Khmelnytsky, women and children are weaving camouflage nets to help our heroes. All Ukrainians, young and old, work for victory. Not bad. Okay. Somewhere near Sumy.
Российская армия, ёб твою мать, застряла в болоті. Отак вони от приїхали до нас воювати. Все бросили.
Yeah, that tank is not going anywhere.
Зараз ми їм покажемо. Кузькину мать. Спалим це все нахуй. Доблестная российская армия, ёб твою мать, застряла в болоті. Отак вони от приїхали до нас воювати. Все бросили, говнюки. Зараз ми їм покажемо Кузькину мать. Спалим це все нахуй.
Russian gas system hacked? Configuration / profiles and file system deleted? What do you guys make of this? Yeah, maybe a mod panel? Forno Vogus? Those look like gas cylinders, like for an engine. Doing like an animation. It says /2030. Why does it say 2030 up there instead of 2022? 27/12. I don't know. Does this look right? Hackers have shut down a gas supply provided by Tivingo Telecom. They deleted configure files and set the system to leak gas, turning off fans, so they have to shut down the supply. This is the SCADA screen of machine operations. Can control all aspects of any factory or facility. These days are hosted over networks. I've used CTEC and currently job uses SCADA. From the logos, I'm assuming a custom SCADA layout. Edit, I was right. It's SCADA. You can completely shut down a facility or make it malfunction with overrides in this software. I have no idea how someone has access to this, however. They're usually hosted on a closed intranet. The only way there could be external access is if they had third-party maintenance. Either way, usually access through a VPN to an intranet. Simply deleting older software configs does nothing. However, since they will always run last safe config, usually all safety manual overrides are disabled once a facility has been running and ironed out all issues. Okay, so maybe it's not that big a deal. The mayor of Irpin confirmed that Ukrainian troops repulsed the attack in the city and appealed to the locals.
Сьогодні для нашої громади, для України дуже важкий день. Сьогодні в Ірпінь зайшли зі сторони Бучі. Там максимально бути вдома. Пішло підкріплення. У тих, у кого немає
We're winning. Join us.
Ті, хто
Usually a good
у нас є
message.
інваліди, є бабусі літнього віку, які не можуть дійти. Будь ласка, сусіди, допомагайте. Треба всім об'єднуватись. На Фейсбуці, на моїй сторінці, зараз ми додатково поставимо ще телефони. Дзвоніть. Хто не може, кому дуже буде не потрібна їжа, будь ласка, набирайте, ми привеземо. По вулиці не ходимо. Я вас дуже прошу. Від вас треба спокій. Ми працюємо. Ірпінь захищений. Ми відбили всі. Сьогодні Ірпінь на 100% під контролем. Будь ласка, допомагайте. Слава Україні!
Слава Ukraine. This was a curious one. World's eyes are on Ukraine. Meanwhile, Putin sends equipment to Brest, Belarus, 10 kilometers away from border with Poland. Source: Hanna Lubakova. Curious. Why would Putin be sending such heavy gear to Belarus? Whoa, those are tanks. That's a lot of tanks, actually. Oh my god. Like over a dozen tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 tanks at minimum. That's a lot of tanks on a train. Uh-oh. People in Kharkiv thanks Putin for liberation. Freedom.
Ты молодец, Володь. Мы именно этого и хотели, и ждали от тебя.
Freedom, everybody.
Ты царь и бог.
Зато тепло зимой.
Мы живем в Харькове. Запомни.
How do you have the ability to make a joke as your fucking home burns down? How? How do you do the meme?
Скажи туда Путину спасибо. Спасибо. Ты молодец, Володь. Мы именно этого и хотели, и ждали от тебя. У нас теперь есть где жить. Ты царь и бог.
Зато тепло зимой.
Мы живем в Харькове. Запомни.
What the fuck? Russian-speaking people in Kharkiv thank Putin for liberation. Voice of sarcasm. Say thank you. Thank you. Well done, Voloda, nickname for Vladimir Putin. We just wanted that. Now we have place to live. You are Tsar and God. We are in Kharkiv. In background. But now it is warm there in winter. Holy shit, that's funny. Oh my god, now it's warm in there for winter? They're just like memeing? State-sponsored Molotov cocktails?
To make Molotov cocktails. They're messy and they're fiddly. They take time to make, but their
Get the
efforts
children
are
in there.
approved by the Ministry of Defense.
Get the children in there. While soldiers are in Ukraine by Putin's order, their families are being detained by Putin, St. Petersburg. Putin was also suspended as an honorary president of the International Judo Federation, everybody. He can't judo toss anyone anymore. Isn't that cool? Okay, let's move on. Anyone catch Zot's last interviewer? Like their last interview? No, kind of moved on from the trucker convoy stuff after it got scuttled. What did we miss? This is a bit more important. Civilians trying to stop Russian troops by calmly walking up to them. It looks to be working. I think we saw this clip from another angle too. Oh, there's a lot of them though. Yo, that takes balls. Let's just walk up to them. Ukrainian defenders in Kharkiv are ready to meet brothers with flowers.
Тричі! Слава! 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 Москалям тричі! Нахуй! 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 Смерть ворогам! Путін! Хуйло!
Propaganda! Panic in Moscow. There is no currency. People are actively withdrawing cash.
А есть валюта там? Нет?
Вроде нет. Сказали, ну что с ним?
Yeah, I think we saw this.
And my dad was at home in
Here, I got some
Wigan,
commentary
and I
here.
was on a night shoot in Liverpool, and for some reason he ended up
Sky
on the
News
phone
got.
to
Is this actually? This is about the Beatles story? Oh, Sky News, you're useless. You're useless. What are you doing? There was a story that I haven't been able to find part 1 of. Maybe it's in the comments. Part 1? No, it's not. But apparently Russians were looting a bank.
Херсонский филиал, Херсонская область, село Верхний Рогачич, улица Владычанского 2. Мы видим, как наши лебеди,
Finland closed their airspace.
скрыли отделение, грабят кассу сейчас. Грабят кассу. Вот, показываем полностью до конца. Это российские освободители.
Ukraine filed a lawsuit against Russia in The Hague.
Через окно пролез, разбил окно, это самое. Касса. Ну, не знаю, что там взял, что там есть, неизвестно. Танкист даже пришел, это самое. Мародерство есть мародерство. Не мародерство, это грабитель есть грабитель. Ну, наверное, там это самое все с ним.
Oh, I think I might have found part 1.
Ну что, давайте мы пока прекратим.
Okay, I think I have. Soldiers with red armbands helping themselves at a local supermarket. That might be maybe a different location. Last half hour was eye-opening for the world. It wasn't about the convoy? Oh, okay. I guess I'll check into it. Ukrainians have a sense of humor. See Karasan? They just put out a video diving in a basement in Chernobyl power station they did recently. Karasan? Yeah, I heard that Ukrainians have a good sense of humor. I mean, they elected a comedian. It's usually a good sign. Karasan? Creo-san. Uh-oh. It's hard to tell if I got the right one. Oh, this is weeb shit. Oh god, I found weeb shit. Oh no. Moscow, riot police out looking for anti-war protesters. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You never want fucking police chasing after you. What? Why did they pick that person? It's like way over there. Creo-san. There, he points right there. Do you see who it is at the beginning? Maybe in the distance? Damn. Damn. Yo. That's scary. London Philharmonic Orchestra playing the Ukrainian national anthem before the concert today. Not bad. Dang, that was pretty good. Surrendering Russians? But wait, is Creo-san not in English? I won't be able to watch it. No subtitles. Looks like nerds? Are these nerds? 1 year ago. Six days ago.
Так, господа, мы продолжаем штурмовать замерзшие подвалы.
Мы взяли ролики для того, чтобы...
Okay, he's got some sweet masks. 700,000 views. Not bad. So they get in here. Oh, this is pretty good footage. What the fuck are they doing? It like iced up halfway through their room, and that's why they brought roller skates and. What are these jokers doing? Uh-huh. Okay. This is some real hard-hitting journalism. And I guess that's part of the story. Okay. All right. Pretty dilapidated. Not sure what the joke is. And they brought tech. So that they can look at blurry images. Okay. All right. Humor. Oh, gross. I don't want to look at that. Ukraine filed the lawsuit against Russia in The Hague. President Zelenskyy said that Ukraine has officially filed a lawsuit against Russia at the International Court of Justice in The Hague. Ukraine demands that the leadership of Russia is held accountable for the war against the Ukrainian people. Here we got some news.
European Union stating that European Union states had agreed to freeze any European assets of Vladimir Putin and his foreign minister Sergei Lavrov in a bid to hit Russia's elite and thwart operations of 70% of the country's banking system. The European Union has already targeted 351 Russian MPs with an aim to limit Russian access to finance, technology, as well as defense. Meanwhile, the White House press secretary has said that the United States was preparing individual sanctions against the Russian president and the Russian foreign minister, including travel bans.
Following a telephone conversation President Biden held with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and in alignment with the decision by our European allies, the United States will join them in sanctioning President Putin and Foreign Minister Lavrov and members of the Russian National Security Team. I expect we'll have more specific details out later this afternoon.
However, there is little known about the Russian president's extent of wealth, which remains extremely opaque.
Secrets.
According to Vladimir Putin's public financial disclosures, he earns around $140,000 per year and owns 100 million luxury vessels called Yacht Graceful, which, according to reports, was tracked leaving Germany for Russia just weeks before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It is further speculated that Yacht Graceful's sudden relocation from German waters to Kaliningrad, which is part of Russian territory, came amid fears of the Western sanctions against Russia. Meanwhile, the question that remains is if these sanctions, which directly target the Russian president, can change his resolve or make him retreat from the ongoing invasion of Ukraine, if at all. And since the beginning of the Russian assault on Ukraine, there have been threats and counter...
We have a Vice documentary on this. So this is going to be good. Let's...
Missile strikes, paratroopers, and lines of tanks. We are on the ground in Ukraine as Russia attacks.
It's shortly after 7 in the morning here in Kiev, and there are air raid sirens going off across the city. Russia began its war in Ukraine. For weeks, Western intelligence agencies predicted that it might happen, but few, especially here in the capital Kiev, believed that it would.
Plus, how do you take on the Russian military? Hind Hassan was in the trenches with Ukrainian soldiers, gearing up to fight a battle few think they can win.
We're in eastern Ukraine with government forces who are preparing for the possibility of a Russian offensive. We're very, very close to the front lines with the Russian-backed separatists who are on the other side.
And in Moscow, police arrested hundreds at an anti-war protest.
American journalists!
American journalists! Our reporter, Alec Loom, was one of them. This is a special edition of Vice News Tonight, Invasion of Ukraine.
Myself while I eat.
This is a special edition of Vice News Tonight. I'm Josh Hirsch. Russia has invaded Ukraine. It's a scary moment for the world, but our reporters have been covering this conflict since it started, and they're here to break down the war's latest chapter. We'll hear from Ukrainian soldiers at the border, families scrambling for safety, and what's left of the Russian opposition. We start in Kyiv with Matthew Castle. He's watched people pour out of the city as the first missiles hit. Matthew, what's it like on the streets of Kyiv?
Josh, it's hard to explain just how much the situation here has changed in the past 48 hours. At this time on Wednesday night, The streets were full of people. Restaurants and bars were packed. People were shopping, coming home from work, going about their business as if everything was normal. Tonight, the situation couldn't be any more different. Almost everything, all the shops here are closed. There's almost nobody in the street apart from some security forces and some medics. And the air raid sirens in Kiev are nearly constant as the Russian forces get closer to the Ukrainian capital. Yesterday, after the war began, we visited a bus and train station here in Kiev where thousands of people were all frantically trying to get out of the city. We met one elderly woman there, Lena. She was in her 70s. She said that she had heard the news of the Russian invasion, but that she had gotten no information about what she was to do from the government. So she was in a bit of a panic about what she should do next.
She's gonna get some
Are you
water.
worried for what's going to happen
Hydration
next?
check.
Бачите, мене що хвилює, смерть людей. Люди погибнуть, ні за що. Тільки із-за того, що хтось жажде крові. Ось що мене хвилює. Ну, це все люди не в силах остановити. Оцього Путіна, даже, допустим. Як його остановити зараз? Дивіться, всі страни, хотіли їздили, хотіли знайти якийсь компроміс, щоб не нападав на Україну, але ж він жадність йому не дає остановитися і злоба. Що я можу думати? Ну що, этим миром править сатана дьявол.
This world is ruled by
But not
devil.
everyone has the means to leave the city, or maybe they don't want to leave the city. Kiev happens to have the deepest metro stations in the entire world, and we visited one such metro station last night where there were hundreds of people who were seeking shelter from the war above ground. In that subway station, we met Christina, a 27-year-old who was seeking shelter there with her family. She described how one day everything was different. She was going about her life, she was happy, and the next moment everything changed and she was in tears because she didn't know what she should do next. 24 hours later, she remains in that subway station.
Wow.
You guys are capturing just incredible scenes from ordinary Ukraine.
Better investigative journalism from some of these small news channels like Vice than MSM. Yeah, I mean, Vice kind of made their name on doing stories in war-torn regions.
Ukrainians. What's Ukrainian President Zelenskyy saying about all of this?
Well, President Zelenskyy has been under immense pressure, as you can imagine. He's vowed to stay here in the capital, Kiev. He's also said that Ukraine has been, quote, left alone by its Western allies. He's offered to negotiate with Russia. An advisor to Zelenskyy even went as far as to say that Ukraine would be open to discussing neutralization, meaning they would promise to not ever join NATO. Ukraine's membership in NATO has been a main sticking point between Russia and the West. Ordinary Ukrainians, meanwhile, are all hoping that this war ends as quickly as possible.
Matthew Castle, thank you very much, and stay safe out there. Fighting between Russia and Ukraine started 8 years ago, and Hind Hassan's been reporting on it ever since. We're going to hear from her in a second, but first, we'll see her report from January, when she spoke with Ukrainians preparing for all-out war.
Novola Zarivka.
Viktor Kucherenko was killed at the front line of the fighting between Ukraine and separatists backed by Russia. His remains were brought back here to his village. The fighting started in 2014. Since then, over 14,000 people have been killed. When you hear about civilians or soldiers dying, it's usually just as a statistic, but being here at this funeral really hits home the grim reality of war, and that is that behind the numbers, there are people, families and communities that are completely devastated.
She must have had to psych herself up so hard to do that segment. Like get ready to speak in front of a funeral procession. Damn, that takes balls.
На початку 23-ї години задзвонив телефон, і командир сповістив.
Sorry, I'll read these out.
На початку
23-ї
години задзвонив телефон.
The phone rang.
І командир
And the
сповістив,
commanding officer told me
що ваш син
your son
загинув.
has died.
Прийміть наші
The
співчуття.
mother of Viktor Kucherenko. Please accept our condolences. Your son died a hero.
Він загинув як герой. Втратити найріднішу людину
It's
на
a
війні
terrible
це
pain to lose
страшенне
those you care
горе.
about the most to war. I'm not sure I can show that. Commander, they need to hurry up. We're exposed to it.
The front line in the Luhansk region is where Viktor Kucherenko served.
We're being taken to the point where Viktor was killed. We just had to run here really quickly because we're very close to where the Russian separatists are. So this is a very dangerous point.
Deputy Commander Timur Stutsky was on the front line the day Kucherenko was killed.
Damn.
Can you explain to people who don't understand what it's like to lose someone at war?
В цілому зрозуміло, що ми якби
Generally accepted that as
люди
soldiers,
військові і повинні це
we should be less
сприймати
emotional.
менш емоційно. Ну,
But
для
for me personally,
мене особисто ці втрати
these losses are
дуже
very hard.
тяжкі.
Damn.
Hind Hassan is on assignment in Nairobi and joins me now. Hind, you were in Ukraine weeks before the invasion. What was the feeling then as Russia was preparing to invade?
Well, as you saw in that clip, we spent time with the family of one of the soldiers who had been killed in the weeks before Russia's all-out offensive. And even though the community was going through this heartbreak, they were very welcoming and they let us film at the funeral because, as Viktor's mother told us, she believed that her son had died as a hero and she wanted the world to hear his story. Now, despite this, she was also very, very clear about one thing, and that is that she believed the death of her son and the death of the 14,000 others who'd been killed as a result of this ongoing conflict was a tragedy that could have been prevented by the international community. And as a result of that inaction that she talks about and that we've seen over the years, Europe is now facing another refugee crisis on its doorstep. But the reality is that we don't know how far Putin will take this war or when it will end. But what we do...
And she doesn't know that he is about to put his nuclear forces on alert because of the sanctions.
do know is that we are witnessing a developing humanitarian crisis in real time, and so far it appears as though the international community hasn't been able to stop it.
So what is the international community doing?
There has been condemnation from many different countries. Sanctions have been threatened. Some sanctions have already been imposed, but none of this has stopped bombs from falling on Ukraine. And in fact, the United Nations Security Council currently is being chaired by Russia. So this is a body which is tasked with maintaining security, international peace and international security, has Russia in a diplomatic role. And on top of that, there are 5 countries that have a veto power in the United Nations Security Council. That includes the United States, the United Kingdom, France, China, and Russia. So any resolutions that are put forward for the United Nations Security Council to consider that would call on Russia to stop this war would be and will be vetoed by Russia. And I think this war, along with some of the others that we've seen in recent years, for example, in Syria or in Yemen, really displays and exposes just how powerless the United Nations Security Council can be.
Damn.
Hinta-san, thank you.
There is a crazy, this is Svetlana Mamyeva. There is a crazy war in Ukraine now.
Война. Здесь бомбятся сейчас.
Galina Samoylova. We are shelling in this case to avoid military hostilities. This isn't. Oh wait, this is in Moscow. This is Moscow. Sorry, in Moscow. There's a crazy war in Ukraine now.
Сегодня происходит безумная война. Здесь бомбятся
We are shelling in this
сейчас
case to
для того,
avoid
чтобы
military
избежать
hostilities.
военных действий.
Lady, how does that make any sense at all? Shelling is a military hostility. You've already failed before the sentence has gotten out of your mouth.
Я стыжусь
I'm ashamed
своего
of my
гражданства.
citizenship.
Я думаю, что это все-таки
Igor Romanov. I think it's a necessary measure,
вынужденная
a
мера,
needed one.
необходимая.
По нас будет
Hassan Rozarev. It's obvious that sanctions will impact us.
санкции там как-то отражаться, естественно, плохо.
It's very bad.
Мы живем в санкциях уже много-много
We've lived under
лет.
sanctions for many years now.
Санкции
Sanctions
укрепляют
only make Russia stronger.
Россию.
Да, будет плохо России.
Yes, Russia will
Но
suffer, but I
я
don't think
думаю,
anyone
что
will
кому-то будет от
benefit
этого
from it.
хорошо.
С этим человеком, с
Russia has no
президентом
future with a
Путиным, не
president
будет
like Putin.
будущего никогда.
Those were interesting.
Vladimir Putin has enjoyed a high approval rating among Russians. That's not particularly surprising. He controls state-run media and silences anyone who challenges his authority.
I've heard one like oversimplification that like 2/3 of the country get their news from the television and 1/3 gets their news from the internet, which is like generally split along generational lines as well. Like younger folk are on the internet more likely, and that's like led to this sort of fracture in political consciousness in Russia, where there's just like two completely different like realities that the people live in.
But not everyone has been willing to stay silent. Alec Loon was in Moscow covering an anti-war protest when police detained him.
The number of people here has been getting bigger and bigger. People are getting more and more agitated, but police are also getting more active. And every minute they're arresting more and more people, taking them to waiting police vans.
American journalist!
American journalist! У меня аккредитация МИДа есть! Я журналист! Журналист! Пресса! Пресса! Журналист! Аккредитация! Аккредитация! Аккредитация у меня есть!
Dogs.
Я журналист! Пресса! Я пресса!
I spoke to him after his release. So, Alec, what's the response been like in Moscow?
Well, people were shocked and surprised here as well. Protesters came out to the streets of Moscow and other cities today, small groups. They were mostly immediately arrested. We went down to cover those protests. We were also arrested, let out, luckily, but a lot of people were taken away to police stations. There is no speech here now without fear. And we spoke to some protesters about the shame and the fear that they're feeling. Чувствуете стыд?
Нет, мы чувствуем, что
No,
нас
we feel
обижают.
hurt,
Конечно же,
Dasha.
не так, как сегодня обижают
Of course, not as
наших
much as our closest
ближайших
neighbors and
соседей и
friends are
друзей,
today.
но нас тоже обижают, потому что
Oh,
нам
her
не оставляют
face.
ни выбора, ни права голоса.
Oh, I missed that.
Но нас тоже
But we're
обижают,
hurt too because we have no choice or
потому
voice.
что нам не оставляют ни выбора, ни права голоса.
Мне стыдно. Мне
I'm ashamed this is happening.
стыдно, что это происходит, потому
Yulia Orbenko, protester.
что
I hear about the
везде
Russian attacks
слышишь слова,
everywhere.
что русские напали. Это не русские напали.
But it wasn't
это
the Russians who attacked.
придурочные, которые
It
там
was the meatheads at the top who decided for us.
сидят, решают за нас. Мы это не
We don't
хотим.
want this.
Нам это не нужно.
We don't need this.
Россия и Украина вместе.
Russia and Ukraine stand
So we
together.
got a chance to hear from protesters and people in the opposition, but how representative are they of the entire Russian population? How are Russians, what are they being told about this war?
A recent poll found that 3/4 of Russia blame the U.S., NATO, or Ukraine for
Lol.
the tensions in Ukraine.
Lol.
And I don't think that's changed much given the state television coverage of this conflict. This is being presented
3 to
not as a
1.
Russian invasion, but as a Russian response to quote-unquote aggression by Ukraine. The Russian Foreign Ministry is saying that this is not a war. This is Russia preventing a global war. So it's a very different view of the situation.
Wow.
Very distorted view of the situation. And that's also pretty scary.
What do you think Putin wants out of this? Is there anything that European leaders or American leaders could do to deter him?
I think Putin is a little afraid of the sanctions that are coming down on Russia. He held a special meeting with the oligarchs, asking them to understand his response, asking them to help the government in what would be tough times ahead with the sanctions. At the same time, this is a leader who no longer has any checks or balances. We saw him meeting with his top security officials, and everyone in the room was terrified, afraid to say that they thought this was a bad idea to invade Ukraine. This is a man who has been very isolated. We see him meeting with world leaders at the other end of a 60-foot-long table. And I think all that's really created this vision in Putin's mind of what he wants to get, being A, to take Ukraine off of its pro-Western course, and B, to make Russia feared in the world, especially by NATO and the U.S.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he is looking to be remembered as the leader who brought Ukraine back into Russia's orbit. And it's very uncertain at this point because it looks like there's no one who can tell him any differently.
That's a scary thought, Alec. Thank you very much for all of your work.
This is in Kyiv, Maxim Shamrai. His name sounds like samurai, and it looks like he has like pixel art on his shirt, like a church being on fire or something. We can't sleep well. Explosions wake us up. Olga Uzlova. Now we're with friends at the shelter. And it's not clear how long it's going to last. Anastasia Rapallo. It's this uncertainty that scares me the most right now. Look at this framing. Look at that framing. Oh my god. Mastercraft right here, Vice. Holy shit. How did they frame the other two people? Yeah. Look at those poles. Those poles are like all they could find, I guess. And it's not bad. This, good graffiti. Again, cutting off the thirds. And then this is the best one. Right at the schoolyard. It's this uncertainty that scares me the most right now. It hangs in the air. When war comes, when it comes to your house, you stop thinking in terms of days, of weeks and months. You don't know what will happen to you tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. President Biden, I'm begging you. Probably every Ukrainian is begging you. Take some decisive actions against Russian aggression. And Ukraine, God forbid something happens, Ukraine definitely will not be the last frontier.
When Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the offensive, he warned the U.S. and its NATO allies that interfering will, quote, lead you to consequences that you have never faced in your history. Liz Lander spoke with a Russian dissident who met with the Biden administration this week. He explains what the attacks mean for Russians and how this invasion could be part of Putin's broader strategy to expand his sphere of influence.
Vladimir Ashurkov runs the Anti-Corruption Foundation, which was started by his colleague and Russian opposition leader, Alexei Navalny. Even Ashurkov didn't think Putin would go this far. Do you think that this could be a success for Putin, and what does that mean for an opposition movement?
Already, it's terrible for Russia. It's horrendous, and there will be both short-term consequences and long-term consequences for Russia and for Putin. In terms of opposition, naturally, when a country is involved in external conflict, you can expect that there will be further crackdown on independent voices in Russia, on media, on activists, etc. Unfortunately, that's the situation that we'll have to deal with.
Do you think there could be a political cost for Putin?
Inevitably, both in terms of sanctions and the countermeasures from the West. War in Ukraine is not going to be a walk in the park. The Ukrainians have shown great resolve in defending their countries, even though militarily the balance is very largely skewed in favor of Russia. And it's not popular war within Russia with the white population. They will see their standards of living deteriorate. They will see more repression against civil freedoms. Unfortunately, they will see coffins with the soldiers returning from the battlefields.
What are your recommendations to the Biden administration right now?
There are short-term actions, such as sanctions, but there has to be also a long-term strategy. This conflict is going to stay with us for quite some time. More broadly, the West has been functioning in cooperation, coexistence with autocratic regimes like Russians. I mean, if Russia was a democratic country, this wouldn't have happened. There's no appetite for bloodshed and expansion in Russia. So only since Putin is not controlled by any checks and balances within the country, he's able to do it. So I think there will be a big reconsideration of foreign policy in the US. Can it really coexist with authoritarian regimes where crazy people like Putin can come to power?
Explain to me how the U.S. can target these kinds of people in a way that makes Putin and some of his top aides and cronies actually feel economic pain.
There is no silver bullet that will make Putin change his behavior and that will bring Russia to the normal development path and to democratic values. But sanctions are important in that they serve as a punishment against those that are involved in corruption and human rights abuse. And also they serve as deterrent, maybe not so much to Putin, but to the political and economic elite of Russia that is enabling this state and this aggressiveness.
Do you see this move in Ukraine as tied to a potential legacy that he is trying to leave behind?
You know, when people are in power for so long, they get out of touch with reality. So yes, he has the vision of grandeur of himself, of Russian Empire, and I think that's what's driving this new escalation.
Russian Empire as opposed to reuniting the Soviet Union?
He will take as much ground, as much turf as he can. Just over the last few months, we've seen Russian troops in Belarus,
Kazakhstan.
I hope it doesn't come to this, but
wait, what?
The Baltic states, which used to be part of...
Sorry, go back.
Seen Russian troops.
Russian Defense Ministry.
In Belarus, in Kazakhstan.
What the fuck?
I hope it doesn't come to this, but...
Like staging grounds?
Baltic states, which used to be part of the Soviet Union, may be on his horizon as well, and they are NATO members, and the NATO resolve remains to be tested and seen.
I think what I'm hearing from you is you think that this Ukrainian invasion could open the door to Putin trying to retake other countries?
Listen, this tragedy that is happening now, it's a challenge for the US, it's a challenge for all democratic worlds. It's not going to be the last challenge of this sort. So brace yourself for more, unfortunately.
Okay.
That's it for now.
That was awesome.
Make sure to check out vicenews.com.
That was really good.
And follow our socials for continuing coverage.
That covered like a lot of gaps, a lot of little gaps. I am inspired by Ukraine and wanted to make a tribute drawing for the Ghost of Kyiv in one line. It's one line. Russia unlikely to deploy nukes in Ukraine conflict, says ex-NATO deputy. Rose Guttemüller says President Putin has cried wolf more than once. That is a really intense picture. A former top NATO diplomat says she doesn't believe Russian President Vladimir Putin would use nuclear weapons if Western countries intervene to stop his invasion of Ukraine. Putin warned this week that members of the Western military alliance would face, quote, consequences that you've never encountered in your history. A warning that many observers interpreted as a threat to use the nuclear option. But Rose Guttemüller, who served as NATO's Deputy Secretary General from 2016 to 2019 said that while the warning was, quote, stark, it's a threat the Russian leader has used before. Quote, in fact, I think he's been very careless in that regard because if you're crowing wolf all the time with your ultimate weapon, it leads, in fact, to a weakening of your deterrent, she said in an interview. But I do note on this occasion, he did not specifically rattle his nuclear saber. So at the end of the day, I'm thinking that although he was trying to act tough and very threatening, he has said worse in the past. Okay. Nothing should upset Putin, like saying he cries wolf. Yeah, I doubt he's listening to CBC right now. This is some news. Look at this. This is some news. Can't read it. Damn it. Damn it. Lukashenko confirms rockets fired at Ukraine from Belarus. Threatens to join war on Ukraine. Sheesh. Oh, that's might have been what happened. I clicked the link. Ukraine agrees to talks with Russia at Belarusian border. Where they're like shooting from? Ugh. Okay. Yeah, I think I remember seeing this footage. Woman singing while she's... Ukraine agreed to hold talks with Russia without preconditions at its border with Belarus after a phone call Sunday between Zelenskyy and Lukashenko. President Putin ordered his defense chiefs to put the country's nuclear deterrence forces on high alert in a move that the U.S. called an unacceptable escalation. Right. So maybe that CBC article was a bit too early on the whole cry wolf thing. This was a big story from Associated Press. Sanctions versus neutrality. Swiss fine-tune response to Russia. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has put Switzerland's much vaunted neutrality to the test, and along with it, the country's traditional role as international intermediary and reputation as a safe haven for the assets of Russia's richest and most powerful. The Swiss executive branch stopped short of announcing unilateral sanctions against Russian interests after Moscow's blistering military action in Ukraine. Instead, the Federal Council opted to fall in line with the European Union and pledge that Russian individuals and companies hit with EU sanctions won't be able to evade them in Switzerland, which is not one of the EU's 27 member states. The government said Friday that financial intermediaries in Switzerland were now banned from starting new business relationships with 363 Russian people and 4 Russian companies. Any existing business must be reported to the Swiss Economic Affairs Secretariat. Further steps are under consideration. While hardly a crackdown compared to other Western sanctions aimed at punishing Moscow for its invasion of Ukraine, the impact could be felt. The rich Alpine nation has been the biggest recipient of transactions by Russian private individuals, ahead of Britain, Spain, Luxembourg, and the US, according to a report compiled by the Swiss embassy in Moscow. Quote, Switzerland has for years been, by far, the most important destination worldwide for rich Russians to manage their wealth, the report said, adding that net transfers of Russian taxpayers to Switzerland totaled $2.5 billion in 2020. Wow. $1.8 billion in the first half of 2021. Damn. Yo, hit him where it hurts. Follow the paper. Ukraine asks Red Cross to repatriate bodies of Russian soldiers killed in fighting. Red Cross acknowledges it's aware of requests from Ukraine's UN ambassador to repatriate the bodies of Russian soldiers. Why saying to facilitate repatriation of thousands of bodies of Russian soldiers killed during its invasion of Ukraine? An accompanying chart claimed 3,500 Russian troops have been killed. Yeah, here we go. Kizlytsia tweeted that parents in Russia should have a chance to, quote, bury them with dignity. Don't let Putin hide the scale of tragedy, he said. So it's kind of like a double-barreled attack, like a two-pronged attack, like in terms of like the information war, being able to take the moral high ground of saying like, hey, you know, Red Cross, neutral body, help us deliver these Russians back to their parents. And you also get to like play the information war of like keeping the cover up from happening. Biden administration and U.S. allies aim to seize Russian yachts and mansions. This is Fox News Business. Just Fox Business. Or is it? Does Fox News have a player that works?
Longer term.
They do.
Joining me now, the chairman of Strategas, Jason Trennert. Jason, great to see you again. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So these wild market swings suggest that investors don't seem to know what to make of Ukraine. We're going to talk in a minute about other bigger forces you believe are moving the market. But for now, how should investors be thinking about the Russian invasion?
Listen, Jack.
I can't do it. 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 I don't care about investors. I don't give a single shit about investors. Ukraine army secures Kharkiv, expelling Russian troops. 8:30 p.m. today. Ukrainian forces had secured full control of Kharkiv on Sunday, following street fighting with Russian troops in the country's second biggest city, the local governor said. Kharkiv is fully under our control, they said on Telegram, adding that the army was expelling Russian forces during a cleanup operation. Wait, what language is that? You saw Nah, whoa, what language is that? Moscow threatens to nationalize foreign assets in Russia as retaliation to sanctions. This is interesting. The former president Medvedev, hey, I was right. It is Medvedev. Hasn't ruled out he has not ruled out, okay, so he's saying it's possible to nationalize the Russian-based assets of foreigners registered in hostile jurisdictions. So the government's going to yoink all the stuff that private non-Russians own. The harsh step may be taken in response to the seizure of funds of Russian citizens abroad, he said. They also threatened to seize the money of Russian citizens and Russian companies abroad, but this will have to be answered quite symmetrically. Interesting. Russia could attack Poland, Finland, Baltics, according to the Polish Prime Minister. This is Inquirer.net. Poland's Prime Minister said Saturday he feared a Russian attack on his country, Finland, or the Baltic states, and urged Europe to double defense spending after Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. And I think there was actually a story, I can't find it, I didn't save it, about, I think Germany is like doubling its defense spending, apparently. I don't know if that's true, though. Putin will want to develop his aggressive policy, his invasion. He started in Georgia, now Ukraine, he added. This is Matus Morawiecki. The next target could be the Baltic countries, Poland, Finland, or other countries on the eastern flank. He said Saturday, we need a strong European army. Quote, it is not possible, and that will allow Europe to finally... The continent must increase defense spending from around 300 billion euros to 600. It is not impossible, and that will allow Europe to finally play a major role. The era of peace and international order is coming to an end. It is a test for the West, and the way we react to this test will determine our future, not for years, but for decades. He also called for an unprecedented and crushing sanctions package on Moscow and for discussions to make Europe independent of Russian hydrocarbons. By buying Russian oil and gas, we are today financing Russia's policy of aggression. Well.
Threats.
Nothing going on here. Twitch and OnlyFans block all users from Russia due to sanctions. Twitch has blocked all the Russians. Twitch user and OnlyFans users from Russia complain that these services have disabled their ability for them to withdraw money that was earned on the platforms. Because of this, some cannot withdraw their income to their accounts for a week, a month, and even for a whole year. That is, it is not possible to receive the money earned in any way. The fault was the inclusion of all user accounts from the Russian Federation in the blacklist, or rather the entire Russian financial system. When trying to withdraw money to a bank card opened in any of the Russian banks, an error message appears. Thus, all users of these services who do not have accounts in cards in other states are deprived of access to their money. And apparently it's extremely popular in Russia. Oops. Yeah, because there's like all this CSGO. Like that might actually stop the war. Original content. Map showing the latest situation in Ukraine today with territory gained by Russia. This is interesting. So we know they have Crimea. We know Melitopol they've took. In the Donetsk region, they still control the like Russia-backed separatists, and Mariupol is where they're striking with air attacks. In Kharkiv, which we just learned from the governor, is back under Ukrainian control. They're attacked from the ground and from sea. Same with Kyiv. Ground and sea, but coming from the north. And this is the Belarus action taking place. They're getting hit from Belarus. And there's Chernobyl. We learned about the Battle of Chernobyl. And now has its own Wikipedia page, which is fun. Just cool. Just exciting. Nice. Nice. Super nice. Super cool. Super good. Okay. Russia demands Google restore access to its media YouTube channels in Ukraine. Give us back our YouTube. Trump calls the U.S. a stupid country and praises Putin as smart in latest Ukraine comments.
What he's doing, not only with Ukraine, but with their own country.
That's not it. Oh, don't do that to me. You think we can find it really quick? Just loading some content on the back end. Oh, wait, this might be live. Senator Schumer.
So today I'm announcing a push to deliver billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine. It will be humanitarian aid, it will be economic aid, and it will be security aid. The administration has asked for $6.4 billion in aid, and we hope to add that to the omnibus spending bill that is coming to the floor of the Senate next week. And I expect that it will have bipartisan support. The emergency aid, as I said, will cover the things that Ukraine needs to help its people as they struggle through this war and to supply their military with the it will help the humanitarian aid will help the Ukrainian people as they struggle through the war, and the military aid will give Ukraine the tools they need to resist the Russians, which they are doing a very good job of as of now. Democrats are going to work with Republicans to put this aid in the package. It's 6.4 billion is exactly what the administration requested.
Bipartisan.
And I think the administration is handling the Ukraine situation extremely well.
Wow.
There are also very
praise.
severe sanctions that are being placed on Putin. The idea that the banks can be cut off of the SWIFT system, which is vital to international finance, is going to really deal a very severe blow to Russia. And I expect that shortly there will be action against the Russian central bank as well, which will really hurt the Russian economy. So the sanctions that have already been imposed and those that are being thought of in the future are very strong. They're the strongest sanctions we have seen, and it's appropriate. Because when someone as vile as Putin invades another country, the whole West should be united. And that's another thing that's happened here. The West is united more than it has ever been.
It's true.
Putin, in an attempt to divide the West, has united the West, which is a very good thing. I stand in solidarity with the over 350,000 Ukrainians in New York. It's a strong and vibrant community. I know them well. Every year I go to St. Patrick's Cathedral.
14 people shot at a hookah lounge in Las Vegas.
Genocide perpetrated by Stalin and the Russians. And so I have strong links with this community. And I want to assure the Ukrainian community that the United States is fully behind them, will stay behind them, as will the entire West. And we tell Ukrainian Americans here we admire the valor of your brethren overseas.
Senator Chuck Schumer.
Okay.
Announcing bipartisanship. Incredible.
Yes, right. He writes these pearls. I do my own elaboration, as you know, but anything else? Yeah, here you go. We stand in solidarity. America stands, the entire West stands in solidarity with the Ukrainian people.
Wow.
We are doing everything we can to send them the aid that they need. Okay. Yep. The goal of the sanctions is twofold. One, to support the Ukrainian people and show that Putin cannot get away with his dastardly acts. Did that get in the way? Did you hear that? Okay. Any questions on this subject?
Is he worried about the clip?
Today.
How soon will the money
Very
go?
soon. The omnibus bill is due on the floor the 11th.
The 11th?
And hopefully this 6.4 billion will be part of that.
Senator, do you have any thoughts on the president of Ukraine who's offered a way out of his country, but he stayed posting those videos on social media?
The president of Ukraine has shown great heroism, and he knows his life is at risk, but he's standing in solidarity with his people, and I think everyone in Ukraine and around the world admires it. I bet even the Russians admire it.
Can you take it on the House?
They don't know.
Sure. One off topic on SCOTUS, but any more on this subject? Look, yes, I don't have the details yet. I expect to receive a classified briefing soon, but Putin should understand the West is more united than ever and cannot be intimidated. On SCOTUS.
Yeah, your thoughts on the nomination?
Look, I think she is just such an outstanding nominee. It's amazed me that no one in her past who has worked with her, both when she was on the private side and then as a judge, has anything bad to say about her, whether they're Democrat, Republican, liberal, or conservative. She's brilliant. She sees the other side of things. She's a caring, compassionate person, and I'm hopeful that a good number of Republicans will support her. Okay? Thanks, everybody. Have a nice day.
It's going to be an interesting vote.
All right, that was the latest from House Majority Leader Chuck Schumer speaking very briefly on how the Biden administration.
Okay, let's pause that. France 24.
Plans yesterday evening. We also heard from Borrell saying that Russian President Vladimir Putin is trampling on the statehood and sovereign identity of Ukraine. He said that he is convening an extraordinary meeting of EU foreign ministers today, and they will be discussing sending lethal equipment and supplies to Ukraine. Also giving his support for those that sanctions package that would target Russian banks and exclude some of them from SWIFT. Also supporting sanctions that would target Russian oligarchs and, as he said it, the elite of the Putin regime. Well, to break this all down further, I am joined now by France 24's Brussels correspondent, Dave Keating. He's on the line with us now. Dave, a lot was just said in that press conference. Let's talk about that sanctions package that was just announced.
Sanctions. It's going to devastate the economy.
Three really big announcements just now. So we've got the sanctions package, which is a very, very big deal. There's a lot of risk here with the sanctions package of blowback. So they're trying to craft it in a way that it has the minimal amount of impact on the European economy, but that is difficult. We're talking about 80 billion euros that could be affected here. So they've tried to do this carefully, and this still is going to need to be worked out. But the sanctions package here is quite significant, and it's very, very significant that now specific countries like Germany and Italy, who were very, very hesitant about this, have come around. It shows the seriousness of the situation in the world's eyes.
And we also heard about a European airspace being closed to Russian aircraft. What are the details on that?
Yeah, that's big news. I heard that Canada closed our airspace as well. Just recently.
Yeah, I mean, by this point, most EU countries had already taken the national decision to close their airspaces. And effectively, already at this point, Russian commercial airliners cannot fly anywhere to the west. They're facing an entire wall of blocked airspace from Finland all the way down to Romania. But now it is an EU policy, so every EU country, I'm not sure who was left, I think maybe Greece.
Holy shit, so if you're a Russian...
Now it is official that every EU country will block their airspace.
Oh
so
my God.
Means, as von der Leyen was just explaining, that any commercial airliner that's registered in Russia cannot fly over EU airspace, they cannot land at an EU airport, they cannot take off at an EU airport. So if an Aeroflot plane is somewhere in the EU, they can't take off from that airline. And this includes private jets that might belong to oligarchs.
Okay, that was my next question.
Very keen to stress that this isn't just Aeroflot, this is any registered Russian aircraft.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with France 24. It's almost been too good. Like, they've been showing
from Brussels. We're going to take a quick
war
break
footage
here
and
on France
stuff.
24. We'll be back in 15 minutes, so do stay with us. We'll have
but
more
they
on all of
do
these
take breaks. And then you get like a nonsense. UK needs to be isolated completely, diplomatically, and financially. Wow, that is... Oh my God, that's full on.
Legacy of excellence and decency.
This is the SCOTUS nomination. We're not exactly tuned into that. Give me a second. I was rolling a joint instead of setting up the next. Oh, that could be interesting, actually. Slightly off the beaten path. We're going to take 2 steps off the beaten path. Again, Russia Today. I'm surprised. I guess they were demonetized, but they can still put videos up. They're showing protesters in London in support of Ukraine. Not very good propaganda, really. Oh, God. We stand united. We stand with Ukraine. National Gallery? Why is that in English? Oh, because it's London. Okay. That was France. Okay. We can't really see her. There is also Vice put this out yesterday. Inside Russia's Cold War with another neighbor, Georgia. And just because I don't know anything. Ukraine. Wait, what? Georgia. Wait, what? Damn, Russia's big. Oh no. Yeah, wasn't there like a war in like the Georgian War? This big mountain region across the northern. Okay. Okay. I was just curious how close Georgia was. And I guess it makes sense because if the Russians have taken Crimea, then they have a lot of forces in their southwest. And if you've already moved a bunch of troops there. Wait, it says detected copyrighted audio and video in your stream may be blocked. I might not be able to watch Vice. Is that true? Or is it like...
I want you to know that Belarusians are with you.
Isn't Vice news? Can't you just watch news? I guess not, because it's private? I don't understand that.
Russians. Putin is a criminal. Lukashenko
Is my stream still up?
He's a criminal.
Yeah, I guess Vice is yeah, Vice is copyrighted. Okay. Damn. I guess the stream's still up. Okay, cool. Okay, all right, learning. Russian Orthodox Patriarch calls Moscow's opponents in Ukraine evil forces. Pope calls for urgent opening of humanitarian corridors for Ukraine. Wait, it's saying my stream will be temporarily blocked again? Oh, I got... Wait, what? Weird. Czech Republic refused to play. Ukrainian refugee outflow hits 368,000, still rising, UN. Ukraine is fully controlling Kharkiv. Yeah, we'll do that. Well, it looks like I'm starting to get clapped, so I think I might switch over to Elden Ring. The stream's still up? Yeah, okay. I'm getting a bunch of flags. And I think it's because of the Vice stuff. I didn't get flagged for the first Vice video, but I did for the second one. I'm not really sure why. Two different reactions, but just so I don't bring down the whole channel. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, warning flashed and then stopped, like came up and then disappeared. So I'm gonna switch to Elden Ring. I covered quite a bit. I covered almost 3 hours of footage. So I think I'm going to switch to Elden Ring and play some video games. I'm like stuck at a boss, which is perfect. Just going to watch me grind out a boss. It's going to be ridiculous. I'm going to die a bunch of times. He's super hard. And I think someone else like also recently grinded and just like played like a super weak character or something. So, okay. I'll let this play in the background while I set up. Oh God, no, I will not let this play in the background. Let's see here. I do have a waiting room. So I think what I'll do is I'll just go to that. Put on some music. Get some water. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes. Just gonna get some more water, set up the game, all that jazz. Okay? We're back. Okay, I think I did all the thing. Yeah, let's do some gaming. Yeah, glad you like that, Simon. Not sure about copyright strikes. Can edit offending bits out or delete the video. They've actually updated their system, so you can actually, for once, I cannot believe it, you can actually put in fair use. You can actually like just try to make a counter claim and be like, no, actually this is fair use. You know, I used less than 4 seconds, yada, yada, yada. And sometimes you're on the clear side and sometimes you're not. And that was never the case. Usually it was just like trim out or mute. And in the worst, I think there's like a 6-hour stream I have. There's a 6-hour stream I have with 9 seconds of Gangsta's Paradise while I went to like the washroom and came back. And now like I either have to take down the whole thing or like that's my only option. Like just delete the VOD. And so I guess like different companies play it differently. Like they provide different options. So holy cow. But yeah, we did like 3 hours of coverage and I'm gonna be doing a show later night on Ukraine. So let's not tire ourselves out, especially when we got such a sweet game to play. Just gonna load it up. I played a bit more on my own just because it's just a beautiful game. So I'm pretty excited to get a bit deeper. I can't believe how far people have gotten. Like they just, of course they're just playing it all day every day. I'm just like, no, there's more important stuff happening. Oh my god. All right, let's go. Where's my controller?